Hello, I hope you're all doing well. You're probably here because you want to farm ingredients for one of the big boy meals, bolaños, Valencia, Odi, and so on, and you want to know the best way to go about it. So in this guide, I want to go over the big 3 questions people have when it comes to farming for cooking: where to farm, how to farm, and what to farm. This is an intermediate guide, and I assume you know the very basics of farming, and I'll link you some guides to get started in case you're completely new to farming. Alright, let's get started by taking a look at the kind of setup you would want to farm efficiently. Step 1, make a farming alt. Class doesn't matter, so go pick the class you like looking at the most. Step 2, rent 10 strong fences. You can locate the NPCs by typing strong fence into the NPC search. 10 fences at 10 CP each are gonna cost 100 CP. You can actually cut that down to 80 CP by getting 2 free fences from a quest line. I link it in the description. On top of that, you can level to master to unlock old moon fences. They're a smaller version of the strong fence, and I would say mostly a quality of life upgrade, so it's totally up to you if you want to take that extra step. Step 3, level to artisan. You can power level to artisan in a single day by planting special purple mushrooms or dry main grass at Logia Farm and pruning them manually. I go over that in more detail in my starter guide. And step 4, obtain magical seeds. And they require Artisan 1 to use, and they're essentially 5 special seeds bundled into one. That means we have to spend a fifth of the time breeding and harvesting compared to special seeds, and that massively cuts down the amount of active time we have to spend on our farms. Now, to get magical seeds, we have 2 options. Option number 1 is to plant special seeds and breed them. This drops magical seeds at a low chance. You can then take these magical seeds and breed them to get more. And for option number 2, PA recently added a recipe where you can turn mysterious seeds into magical seeds. Now, this is incredibly helpful if you don't have any magical seeds to begin with and you're trying to build up a stockpile to breed into a full set. Alright, now that we got our fences, where the heck should we place them? That will depend on the kind of crops we want to grow. Each crop has a preferred temperature range, and within that range you will get the optimal growth time for that crop. Some like it hotter, some like it colder. And to find the optimal location for each crop, you can make your life very easy by just looking at external resources. So for example, here I've got my farming sheet. It's got a big profit table, but also some other features, including this matrix where you can look up optimal farming locations. For example, say I'm farming onion, then I would locate onion in this table, and you can see here we get the optimal temperature in Bolaños, Serendia and Calphion, as indicated by the green checkmark. So now we know roughly where to plant our crops, and then I can click on this link to get to an imager album containing some example farming spots for each region. Now to start farming the crops, we want to do 3 things. Number 1, plant the crops. A quick tip for you, you can use this shortcut for faster planting. Number key 1 to select the crop, into LMB, into space. After you plant the crops, you want to apply fertilizer to reduce the growth time. And then you want to assign workers to your farms. You can do that in the farming menu in the top left. Once you assign a worker to a fence, he will go there and automatically prune your plants. And that's important because otherwise the crops will get blighted and grow slower, and we don't want that. If you send a worker to your farm, he will stay there until he runs out of stamina. So if you manage to feed your worker, he will stay on your farms infinitely. And with the worker auto-feed function that was added recently, feeding your workers really just comes down to always having worker food in your family inventory. That also means stamina, which used to be a big deal for farming workers, doesn't really matter anymore, and you can really just use any old worker you have laying around. And on top of that, you can even get some incredibly cheap lodging in the Land of Morning Light. So if you need farming workers, then I would just go hire a bunch of workers there. And having workers on your farms will ensure that your crops grow without any hiccups. Now, once our plants reach 100% growth, we want to harvest them for crops. But we don't want to harvest all plants because we need some seeds for replanting, and we can only get those from breeding. So what you want to do is a mix of breeding and harvesting. You first want to breed enough until you have seeds for a full replant, and then harvest the rest of the plants. So say I have 20 magical seeds on my farm, then I want to breed until I have 20 seeds in my inventory and harvest the rest. This will result on average in 1k special crops, 60 byproducts and 10 fruits for alchemy. By the way, if you're a returning player, there used to be 5 byproducts, they have been consolidated into this one item, and you want to turn those in either for stone-tailed fodder or contribution points, your choice. So keep in mind that you want to do this mix of breeding and harvesting to farm sustainably. Now, this goes for magical seeds, and there are some rare cases where you would actually want to farm white seeds. You can buy those at seed vendors, so for white seeds you just want to buy your seeds and then proceed to harvest the full farm. Now, to close this off, I want to give you a small tip on how to make managing multiple crops more efficient. You will often find yourself in a situation where you have to farm multiple crops. So for example, you would need onion, pepper and hot pepper to cook balanos meals, and I can tell you splitting your farm 3 ways is quite annoying. So to make your life easier, you can do a crop rotation. That means you would only farm 1 crop at a time. So you would do like 2 weeks of onion, then pepper and then hot pepper. This makes things a lot easier. Alright, now that we've cleared up where to farm and how to farm, I'm sure you're very interested in what to farm, so which crops are actually worth it. And I will say pretty much any crop you might need for cooking can be worthwhile to farm. The only exceptions I would make are fruits and vegetables because you can get them from the vendor, and milk and eggs because the yield is a total disaster. Now, the big question is, of course, out of the different grades of seeds, we've seen white and magical, but there's also high quality and special. Which one is the most efficient? This has always been a big topic of debate, but there was one big change that pretty much turned this whole discussion on its head, the crop exchange. It's a huge quality of life upgrade for farming. So here's how this works. You can take special crops to a seed vendor and exchange them down into either white or high quality at a rate of 1 special to 2 high quality or 4 white. Now keep in mind that this only works for these 4 crops: onion, pepper, hot pepper and garlic. It currently doesn't work for any other crop. And this crop exchange is absolutely huge for farming because it means we can farm crops using magical seeds, which is incredibly time efficient, and then exchange them down to the lower grades. Now, why would we do that? Well, if we look at the recipe like grilled sausage, you can see it only takes a single onion, so we can knock that out with 1 white onion. So using special here would be absolutely overkill. But on the other hand, farming white onion is incredibly time intensive. So here we can get the best of both worlds. We can farm special onions using magical seeds, which is incredibly time efficient, and then exchange them down. So out of 1 special we get 4 crafts of grilled sausage. And I cannot even tell you just how much more efficient this is than farming the white onions directly. If you are interested in the math, I go over that in one of my other videos. And for example, if the recipe takes 2 crops like the pepper here in grilled sausage, then we can make use of something called material substitution. So you can see here, if we click on the double arrow on Videolytics, it will show us possible substitutes as well as how many of these substitutes we have to use. And you can see here, instead of using 2 white pepper, I can use either 1 high quality or 1 special pepper. So that means if I'm farming special pepper, I can exchange it down into 2 high quality pepper at the seed vendor and get double the amount of crafts of grilled sausage out of it. Alright. So after doing many iterations on this section of the video, I settled on making a big summary table that tells you exactly which crops I recommend farming based on the meal you're cooking, and I'll spare you from most of the annoying math behind it. Now you'll see here, anytime a recipe uses either onion, pepper, hot pepper or garlic, we can make use of the crop exchange. That means we can farm special crops using magical seeds and then exchange them down based on how many crops the recipe takes. For the crops that don't benefit from the crop exchange, like the losha, rice and so on, the lines get a bit blurry because there are multiple viable options for the grade of seed to farm depending on whether you want to maximize the amount of crops you get out of your farming or maximize your time efficiency. So I tried to accommodate by giving you multiple options. Now, if you are interested in the math behind this, I recommend you check out these 2 tables here in the LiveScale Discord. They are made by Thel and break down the math on which crop is the most efficient to farm based on the recipe you're cooking. These tables are incredibly useful, though one caveat I have with them is that they don't show the time investment, and just the fact that you spend 1/5 of the time on magical seed compared to the other crops makes them a lot more viable than they come out to be in these tables. But yeah, in any case, I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in a future video. Take care!